With the 2020 NBA season coming to a close and the league moving into the offseason now, it seems like an appropriate time to revisit some of our rankings. There is nothing left that can change the way players are viewed, with no games left to play until next season begins, so we have all the context and information we need to stack the players up against each other. This is always a fun topic that fans discuss, and it tends to be at the heart of every social media debate, so today, for my next few videos, I'll be giving you guys my top 10 at each position at the current moment. As you see in the title, we will be starting with the point guards, which is one of the more loaded positions in the NBA today. But before we get started, it turns out about 82% of you that watch the videos aren't even subscribed, so please, if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button because not only does it help the channel out a ton, but I would also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. Before we dive into the top 10, I wanted to briefly discuss some honorable mentions that just missed the cut. The 4 players that fall under this category are Trae Young, Ja Morant, John Wall, and Jamal Murray. All of these players could easily crack the top 10 in the near future, but one thing that I would like to make clear is that when I make these rankings, I try to balance everything a player has accomplished while also considering their most recent production, and pretty much every player in my top 10 is an established star playing at a high level, while you will notice that 3 of these 4 honorable mentions, being Ja Morant, Trae Young, and Jamal Murray, are younger and just now beginning to break out. If Murray continues to play at the level that he showed he can in the bubble, then he could very easily surpass some names ahead of him. Trae Young has the production to be in consideration, but I would like to see him lead the Hawks to more wins before he gets top 10 respect, and Ja Morant only has 1 season under his belt, so he too needs more on his resume to surpass those ahead of him. With John Wall though, at his best he's obviously a top 10 point guard, but with how heavily injuries have hampered his career in recent seasons, I just didn't feel comfortable putting him on the list. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the 10. Starting at the bottom and working our way up to the number 1 spot, the 10th best point guard in the NBA right now is Kemba Walker of the Boston Celtics. Kemba has made a strong career for himself as a shot-creating maestro that dazzles on the court with step-backs and pull-up jumpers from anywhere on the floor. After 8 seasons in Charlotte, he signed with the Celtics this season and experienced more playoff success with them than he had in those previous 8 years combined by reaching the conference finals. He had a solid season this year, putting up about 20 points and almost 5 assists per game, but in the playoffs he was pretty inconsistent and had several poor showings where he either disappeared or went ghost. He just cracks the top 10 for me, but I can definitely see some of the young honorable mentions passing him as early as next season. Up next at number 9, we have Russell Westbrook of the Houston Rockets. Westbrook's talent is undeniable and his production a lot of the time beats several players ranked ahead of him on this list in the regular season, but I simply can't ignore how poor he played in the playoffs this year. His turnovers were costly on several occasions, his finishing at the basket was frustrating, his jumper was completely non-existent, and overall, his struggles held the Rockets back. I have to admit though that he was coming back from an injury that was likely hampering his ability to play to his full potential, but at the same time, this isn't the first time he's underperformed in the playoffs. Next up at number 8, we have Kyle Lowry of the Toronto Raptors. Lowry's a steady, reliable, and productive two-way point guard that plays hard, is scrappy, and leads the Raptors year in and year out, putting up about 19 points and 7 assists per game last season on decent efficiency numbers. Lowry and the Raptors performed tremendously in the regular season as they finished in 2nd place in the East, but their run of overachievement came to an end against Boston in the 2nd round. Lowry's another player who is very off and on come playoff time, and this postseason was no different, but his ability to lead and affect the team by doing the nitty-gritty things like take charges and cause havoc to swing the momentum in the Raptors' favor pushes the team to new heights at times. Next up at number 7, we have Kyrie Irving of the Brooklyn Nets. Irving has become a very controversial figure in the NBA world ever since his departure from Cleveland, but his production on the court speaks for itself. He's established himself as one of the best scorers in the league while maintaining out-of-this-world efficiency, having shot 49% from the field and 40% from 3 over the last 3 seasons, while scoring 25 points per game. His handles are some of the best we've seen, and he can get anywhere he wants on the floor with ease, and his touch around the basket is also sensational. However, he is also someone that tends to get struck by the injury bug, and he missed the playoffs this year because of it. With Kevin Durant returning to the team next season and the Nets looking ready to contend, he'll hopefully get back to showing everyone that he can produce on the big stage and help his team win when it matters, but for now, he's in the 7th spot on this list. Up next at number 6, we have Chris Paul of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Paul arguably boosted his own reputation as much as anybody this season after a disappointing final season in Houston. He bounced back beautifully this year on the Thunder and perfectly balanced his role as both a mentor for the young guys and a leader on the court who took games over late and led them to far more successful winning games than anyone expected. Paul may be getting up there in age, but he's still one of the best players at the point guard position right now, and this year proved that. His tenure with the Thunder is likely over though, as the team made it clear that they're focusing more on their rebuild now, and Paul made it known that he wants to compete for a championship, so expect him to be traded at some point in this offseason. Starting off the top 5 now, we have Ben Simmons of the Philadelphia 76ers. I know, every comment on this video is going to be about Ben's shooting ability, but the fact of the matter is that he's one of the most impactful players in virtually every other aspect of the game, and his absence from the Sixers in the playoffs told me everything I needed to know about how important he really is. Ben's one of the best playmakers in the NBA, with an ability to set teammates up for easy points, only matched by a small handful of others. And even with the poor cast of shooters around him on the Sixers, he still managed to assist on more threes than anybody else in the league because of the attention that he draws. Combine this with the fact that he also scores almost 17 points per game and grabs 8 rebounds, while also being a Defensive Player of the Year candidate who was named first team all-defense, and we get one of the best players at the position whose strengths very much outweigh the weaknesses. Next up at number 4, we have Damian Lillard of the Portland Trail Blazers. Lillard just seems to get better and better every year, with this season being the best one of his career. It's a shame that the rest of the Blazers had to be hurt so severely with injuries all season long, but the way Lillard put the team on his back and got them into the playoffs with the performances that he had in the bubble were incredible. He can explode for 50 points at a moment's notice, he's a threat to pull up and shoot from literally anywhere inside the half-court line, and because of that, he's a tier above the rest of the players we've discussed so far. Up next at number 3, we have Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks. Luka is arguably the brightest young player we have in the game today, and he has future MVP written all over him. For someone who is only 21 years old, to be putting up 29 points, 9 assists, and 9 rebounds per game is just unheard of, and he does so in such dazzling fashion that it's tough not to be a fan of his. His offensive repertoire includes step-back jumpers, his strength allows him to bully smaller guards that try to defend him, so he scores a lot of easy baskets at the rim because of this, and he even has good court vision to create for those around him when the defense's focus is so heavily on him. And all of this led to the Mavericks having statistically the best offense in NBA history last season. He could be in the MVP picture as early as next year, but for now he's number 3 on this list. Coming in at number 2 is someone that we really didn't see much of this year at all, being Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors. He missed all but 5 games this season, but let's be real, that's not enough to push him down this list after everything he's accomplished. When healthy, he's the best shooter the league has ever seen, he's a 3-time champion, a 2-time MVP winner, and one of the best players in the league without question. With both him and Klay Thompson back next season, the Warriors will be back in the playoff hunt, so his spot really should not be questioned. And finally, the number 1 point guard on this list claims the throne by technicality, being LeBron James of the Los Angeles Lakers. Yes, I know LeBron isn't technically a point guard by nature, but point guard was where he played pretty much all season long this year for the Lakers, and he was even classified as a point guard on Basketball Reference, so that's where we're putting him. After taking home yet another title and Finals MVP this year, the choice to put him at number 1 really wasn't difficult at all, because he's also probably still the best player in the league, period. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below how you would rank the players at this position. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.